So what's going down between the United States of America and Russia? So let us listen to Jack Sullivan. Jack Sullivan. Okay? Let us listen to him very carefully. America. Okay? Here we go.
Well, let me say it plainly. If Russia crosses this line, there will be catastrophic consequences for Russia. The United States will respond decisively. Now, in private channels, we have spelled out in greater detail catastrophic consequences for Russia. The United States will respond decisively. Now, in private channels, we have spelled out. If Russia crosses this line, there will be catastrophic consequences for Russia. The United States will respond decisively. Now, in private channels, we have spelled out in greater detail exactly what that would mean. But we want to be able to have the credibility of speaking directly to senior leadership in Russia and laying out for them what the consequences would be without getting into a rhetorical tit for tat publicly. But we will not hesitate in saying publicly that there will be catastrophic consequences for Russia.
You've used that word twice.
Okay, guys. So this is Jack Sullivan telling the American people. He was interviewed by one of the I wouldn't say which news media is this, but it doesn't matter for that. But anyways, he was interviewed, and you heard what actually said. You know, you heard it. What actually he said. Okay, so it will be consequential or catastrophe to Russia if Russia actually launch a nuclear weapons on Ukraine. America will respond decisively if Russia will actually launch a nuclear weapons on Ukraine. How does Mr. Jack Sullivan is going to do this? Because if Russia is going to launch a nuclear weapons on Ukraine, Ukraine is not a U.S. soil. So how Jack Sullivan is going to do that? Is he going to give the nuclear weapons to his cronies, his covert army brigades who are operating in Ukrainian soil? Or is he going to give Zelensky nuclear weapons to mercenary to launch nuclear weapons on Russia? How's he going to do that? America, are you ready? Are you ready to go under the bed? Oh, remember? Oh, remember? Go down, go down. And you see, during the Cuba nuclear war, Cuba nuclear crisis, Cuba and America. So those days when actually you see those pictures, actually in schools or whatever, you see the kids have been told to go down doing like this. How are you gonna do like this on nuclear weapons? Rains down on you. Anyway, let's go back to what Jack Sullivan. Actually, Jack Sullivan is the National Security Advisor. Okay, he's a National Security Advisor to President Joe Biden. You heard what he said. He said the United States is going to respond decisively. With what? With the stick? How are you going to respond decisively, Mr. Jack Sullivan? How are you going to do that? You know? Because if Russia is going to launch its nuclear weapons, it's not going to launch its nuclear weapons on U.S. It's going to launch its nuclear weapons on Ukrainian soil, not on American soil. So I don't know how you're going to do that. I don't know how you're going to respond decisively if Russia is going to do that. And if you're going to give even this so-called tactical nuclear weapons to Ukraine or your covert army, which is operating in Ukrainian soil, or maybe proxies in Ukraine, Russians is going to know. Russians is going to know that this nuclear weapons is coming from United States. You know, Russia knows everything what you're doing. Okay, Russia knows that you have a bunch of mercenaries operating in Ukraine. Russia knows that you have a bunch of covert armies who's training Ukrainians. You know, Russia knows that you are pouring weapons in Ukraine. Russia knows that cyber warfare is going on. Russia knows that you, Mr. Jack Sullivan, helping Ukrainians on intelligence. Okay? So Russia knows everything. So if you say that if Russia is going to actually launch nuclear weapons on Ukraine and you're going to respond to that, do you think Russia is going to just sit back and just say, hey, voila, okay, let us take it. Let us take it. We know this nuclear bombs is raining down on us from United States. So let's just chill and just wait to die without no response whatsoever. Russia is not going to sit down and wait. Its people to to be wiped out of the map. Russia is going to respond decisively, and Russia is going to know where this, even if let's say okay, Ukraine actually launched these nuclear weapons on Russian soil. Do you think Russia is not going to know? Do you think America will say that, oh, that's not our nuclear weapons? That's Ukrainians' weapons. No, we did not give Ukrainian weapons, nuclear weapons. They did have their own nuclear weapons already. Do you think America is going to say, oh, we didn't do that? That's Ukrainians' army or soldiers, your Ukrainians' government actually did that. We have nothing to do with that. Do you think Russia is too dumb? It's not going to know where this nuclear weapons is coming from? So, Mr. Jack Sullivan, I know you're talking to please your base. Talk is cheap sometimes. You ask yourself, if you're going to respond decisively, where are you going to respond it? Are you going to respond in Luhansk, okay, or Donetsk, or Kherson, or Zaporizhia region? Where are you going to respond decisively on your nuclear weapons to Russia? How are you going to do that? Are you going to drop those nuclear weapons on those 4 regions? Or are you going to drop nuclear weapons on actually Russian soil? So sometimes talk is cheap, and we know you're not gonna do a damn thing. If Russia decided to actually launch nuclear weapons in any European country, America, you're not gonna do a damn thing, because America, you are so afraid to die. America, you are so afraid to die. We used to have, the life is here in America. You can live with that necessity thing, just small thing, small thing, So you're not gonna do a damn thing if actually Russia drop nuclear bombs on Ukrainian soil. But I don't think Russia is gonna do that. Why Russia have to drop nuclear bombs on Ukrainian soil? Russia's gonna do that. Russia has lots of weapons. Russia doesn't have to drop a nuclear weapons on Ukraine. Russia can use the different weapons that will wipe out the mercenaries and covert armies who are pouring into Ukraine to fight for geo US politics thing. Okay? So, guys, as you heard, as you know, there's a lot of propaganda is going on. They are showing the United States or medias, Western medias, showing how the Russian people are fleeing Russia. They are showing big lines of cars, big queues of people in the airport and everything. And show, oh, look that. Look, the Russians are fleeing. No, because, when the Russians leader Putin called out the reservist army, you know, about 300,000 reservist Russian army. Okay, these are reservists. This is the army. Okay, you join the army. Your job is to follow the command, whether it's your leader of that country or your generals or whatever. This is happening in every country. You remember during the Vietnam War, America, no, America, actually some people that refused to go to Vietnam and fight the war that have nothing to do with the American people, okay? But because of geopolitics and dividing some countries. So during the Vietnam's war, lots of Americans refused to be drafted to go to Vietnam, okay? It's happening every country. If people that don't see the necessity of going to fight, okay, and I have my job, I have my family to feed, I have this to feed, I have a life, and when I see this war is nothing but, selfish individuals who actually wants to go to war so that they can benefit their people and their corporates, okay, their military industrial complex to make weapons and sell weapons. That's all. So when Lavrov, was a Russian diplomat. What's his name? Lavrov? I don't remember. I can't pronounce his name actually. He was asked about the Russians who are fleeing or who are running away from draft or from whatever. And Lavrov, pardon me if I can't pronounce his name. He asked and he said, it's it's a free of movement. The Russians, they can go wherever they want to. But here is the catch. You are telling us that Russians are fleeing the country. They don't want to be drafted. They don't want to go to war, But what kind of credits or visas or MasterCards they're going to use it? Because the Americans, they put sanction on this financial transaction thing. So what kind of visas that these people, these Russian people are fleeing? Some are flying out of Russia. Some are fleeing by the vehicles. Some maybe by foot. Okay, what kind of financial system they're gonna use? Because the financial transaction system that that actually used by using let's say using credit cards like Visas, by MasterCard, whatever, was sanctions by the the European Unions and America. So the Russians, they cannot use those cards. No, how do they gonna leave to other countries if they have no access to use those cards? To use Visa cards, MasterCards, and other cards that they so-called, how they're gonna how much money actually these people they're carrying on. And some country you cannot carry more than 10,000 in the airport unless you declare the money. Are you telling me these people are fleeing? Some are fleeing by cars, some are fleeing by foot, some are fleeing by flying out of Russia, has the Western medians portrayed. Okay, how much money these people they have? They cannot use Visa cards or Mastercards out of Russia. They cannot use it because of the sanctions. Okay, and I saw Western medias showing this bunch of cars, and I checked the plate numbers. Most of those cars actually they're not Russian cars. They're showing Europeans, traffic jams in Europe, and they see, oh, see, this is the Russians. But check the number plates of those cars. They're not Russian number plates. They're not. Okay? They are not Russians number plates. Guys, check those cars. Check those. They can show maybe some, they can show any jam. This propaganda thing, Western media's propaganda thing. They can show even jam, vehicle jams in America or Japan or China, whatever, or Europe, and because you're not there, and they say, you look, but check the number plates of those cars. They're not Russian cars. Now, those cars actually are in Europe. Check the signs, and the stop signs and everything. Most of them are actually in Dutch, in European cars, Scandinavian cars, whatever. So the propaganda, man, it's unbelievable. So Russia is not going to actually use. I don't think Russia is going to use nuclear weapons on Ukraine, but Russia might actually use different weapons to wipe out the mercenaries and covert armies who are actually pouring into Ukraine. And as you can see, and as you know, or maybe as you heard about what's going on in these 4 regions, okay, Luhansk, Donetsk, okay, Luhansk and Donetsk and Zaporozhye and Kherson. The referendum is going on right now. It's continuing. It's going on. They want to join Russia. These 4 regions, they want to join Russia because lots of people who live in this area, predominant actually they speak Russians. Actually, 80%, the entire Ukrainian country, they speak Russians. Okay, so Kherson, Zaporozhye, Zaporozhye, where they go. Oh, there's a biggest nuclear plant in entire Europe. Okay, and Luhansk and Lugansk, Donetsk. I mean, Luhansk and Donetsk. Okay, so these 4 regions have voting, to split themselves. Okay, from the Zelensky regime's capital, so that they can join Russians, so that the region can become a Russian territory. So, what would happen if indeed this region will join Russian, and this region become a Russian soil, a Russian sovereignty or sovereignty? So what the proxies and covert armies and mercenary of the United States and Europeans, whatever NATO is, what those people they're gonna do about it? They're gonna launch some strikes? They're gonna launch their missiles and whatever into these regions, whereby this region, when becomes Russian soil, how are they gonna do then? Because if they're gonna do that, okay, Russia, they're gonna say, okay, this is a Russian soil. You attacked a Russian sovereignty. Yeah? So either you leave or we barbecue you. That's all. Either you leave our territory or stop launching your missiles, whatever, to our territory, our Russian territory, or we are going to barbecue you. So it's your choice. Okay? But as you can see, uh, the Western medias, they think that Russia is going to launch nuclear weapons on Ukraine. Even if Russia is going to launch nuclear weapons on Ukraine, what are you going to do then? You're not going to do nothing. But I'm afraid that you're going to give your tactical weapons here and there, covert ways, covertly, giving you a prox army so that they can throw those tactical nuclear weapons on the missiles toward maybe Kherson or toward Donetsk and Luhansk, but not on Russian soil. But if you're going to give Ukraine nuclear weapons covertly so that they can attack a Russian soil using nuclear weapons, Russians are going to know where this nuclear weapon is coming from, and Russia have no choice but to strike, okay, to retaliate nuclear to nuclear into that country. Actually gave their proxy people to launch that nuclear weapons into Russian soil. So Russia is going to track that nuclear weapons, and Russia has no choice but to strike United States of America. If that will happen, if I'm not saying it will happen, but if that will happen, so I know maybe there's a tactical weapon that America actually hiding, not hiding, but I don't know, I don't know if I want to use the word hiding or what, but I heard like Turkey, Germany, even maybe Poland and Italy, maybe even Sweden. I don't know. I heard actually people, so-called experts or analysts, whatever, some officials, retiree officials, they pointed that there's American tactical weapons which was stored in these countries: Italy, Turkey, Sweden, Germany, and maybe even Poland. But I'm not sure. I can't verify anything. I'm not sure. I'm not actually analysis. I'm just, follow. You know, I'm just watching and keep my ears open, or my ears open, and and make my own conclusions. And okay, but yes, as you can see, the referendum is going on in those four regions: Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Donetsk and Luhansk. Those people, they want to actually join Russia, Mother Russia. So, so Putin said that he's not bluffing. Putin, the leader of Russia, is not bluffing. The American people, he's just bluffing. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to do this. So you keep poking him. Keep poking him. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Until maybe you think that he's going to give up. The Russian leaders and Russian people, they are not going to give up. The Russian government is not going to give up. It's not going to be pack their bags, pull up from Ukraine, and bye-bye. It's not going to, Russians, they are not going to do that. They make sure their goal actually met. Okay? And their goals are going to be met. Okay? They already annexed these four regions. And plus, Crimea. And maybe after that, other regions also will want to join Russia, because there's a lot of chunk of Russian speaking areas in some of the outside these regions. There's a lot of chunk of Russian speaking people. Okay, so guys, okay, this is what actually the National Security Advisor to President Joe Biden, Jack Sullivan actually said that if Russia is going to launch nuclear weapons on Ukraine, United States have no choice but to respond that nuclear weapons decisively. To respond, I have no choice but to respond it. How are you going to do that? Okay, I want to ask you again. How are you going to do that? So you're going to do that in our expenses? You want us to die because of you, because of geopolitics, because of military-industrial complex? Because of what? Do you want Americans to die? What do you want? Okay, the wars in Ukraine have nothing to do with us, but I think the wars have to do with you guys, because maybe you have a bunch of companies, bunch of interests in the Ukrainian soil, as you do some other Baltics region, But I want to talk about Baltics region another day, but I'm not into that so much, but sometimes I comes once a while and talk about what's going on in the world, and put my my thoughts out there and put my words out there and see how people are gonna receive my words. And so let us see on October 1st, what President Putin actually is going to do after the Duma and the upper house and lower house of Duma, or whatever political system it is in Russia. So, but guys, check those number plates, okay? Check those number plates, and it's not a draft. It's not a draft. It's people already who enlisted in the army, okay? They are reservists, okay? It's just like here in America. If there's a war and American they want people, I've seen lots of reservists actually going to Afghanistan, go to Iraq, go to Libya from here, from the United States. So they're already in the army. These reservists, Russian reservists, they're already in the army. It's not a draft. Draft is that you don't know about army. You don't know nothing about army thing. No, you leave your job, you leave your wife, your kids, whatever. You say, hey, now the country is under attack. Now everybody need to join. Maybe from 18 to 50 years old. That's a draft. But these people, 300,000 reservist army, it's not a draft. No, it's the people that are already serving Russian army, but they are reservists. They have their own. They do their own. The daily work, the regular work jobs until they get called to go and serve the country. And you are a soldier. The work of a soldier. If you join to serve your country, you have no choice. Your mother, your sister, your grandfather, your grandmother, your brother, your whatever has no choice. They cannot say, oh, my son is going to war. Oh, I don't want my son to go to war. I don't want my son to do this. You have nothing to do with that. Once your son and your daughter join the army to serve the country, you, the mother, whoever, and the father, whatever, you have no choice. Because these people, they vowed, they took the oath to protect the country, no matter it's wrong or right. Whatever the chief of command will command them to do it, they'll do it. Okay? Because that's the job of a soldier. You cannot say, oh, my son, my what? American soldiers, mostly they committed suicide here in America all the time because of the chaos going on in Afghanistan, in Iraq, Libya, Syria, whatever. People are committing suicide here, American soldiers. But you can't hear the Western medias are talking about. Please subscribe, put your comments.